It's my pleasure again to be here. Nice to have you. So, today I'm going to be talking about an idea that I've worked on for quite a while. Something that I believe that it's not just me wanting you to do something about. It is the plan of God, for the whole country. The plan of God, and not just now, it's been for a while. And I'm not talking about a religious plan. I'm talking about a sincere plan in the heart of God for a nation to move forward. And so I'm talking today about People Connect. I'm talking about people coming together in Nigeria to make Nigeria work. And so I'm going to be talking about a few things that are essential to making this work. First and foremost, we must come together. We must come together. I have said this over the years. So many years, I have said this, I've presented this in different places, and it looks as if good people fail to come together all the time. So I'll give you examples over time of people coming together and how it has worked. First and foremost, okay, let's look at the Bible. Now, pardon me if I cannot refer to any other religious books, because this is the only one I have read and I can, boldly talk about. Now, there was a time that a set of people, we only heard about their community called Babel, and they decided in their hearts that they were going to go out and make a city for themselves that was going to go all the way to heaven. And when they made that decision, and they started doing it, it was said that God in heaven looked at them and said, these people, because they are set out to do this thing with one mind, that they were going to achieve what they set out to do, and nobody was going to be able to stop them. It took God to come down and distort their language for it to be stopped. Now, that is to say that if God could look at them and say, look, there's no way anyone could stop these people except that he, in his wisdom, used something to stop. And there was a reason he stopped them. And that was the fact that at that point, the plan for the earth was for people to spread. Now, again, let's come home and use Nigeria as an example. There was a time we were under the British, and we were colonized by them. Now, imagine if at that time we now have this Gen Z mentality where we are divided into different opinions and different we have our different sides, and so because of that, some people are like, no, why do we want to become an independent state? At the UK, this government not treating us enough. Is the Queen not good enough? And some say, no, we need to get our independence, and the others say, no, let's just imagine that we had that kind of scenario. But instead, in that period, we had young men like Awolowo, we had Nnamdi Azikiwe, we had Ojukwu, we had Ahmadu Bello, people who came together and decided that they were going to, and that one thing we wanted above all our differences was that we wanted independence, and no one could stand against them. They were young, but they knew what they wanted, and they agreed. At least on that one point, they all agreed. And that is what is missing in Nigeria, and that is what we must do at this time. Again, I will look at another example with the Gen Z generation. I know that this will Gen Z, Generation Z, I know that this one will resonate more with you. The answers, look at the energy. Now, I was not for, what happened during NSAS. There was so much pain, there was so much destruction and all that. But look at that energy, that people came together and agreed that they wanted something. And so when I say that it is time for us to come together, we must connect. People must come together. And when we come together, we must have a plan. And that plan, we must, be ready, to give our all. Again, okay, let me now go to the things that when you come together, you have to do. So when we come together, what do we do? First, we must come together and decide what we want to indoctrinate our children with, what we want to indoctrinate ourselves with, What is it that we want to hold as core values that we do not shake, that nothing shakes? I know we'll look at Japan and we'll go, oh, Japan is this, Japan is that. When you see their children crossing the road, when you see their children picking papers or doing anything to keep their nation clean, or the way they behave, we respect them so much, we love them. You know, they have a plan. And it starts from the very little ones. And so we also must have a plan of what kind of indoctrination do we want for ourselves. Of course, we may be old, and you know, they say crayfish, when you try to bend it, fish dry, when you try to bend a fish when it's dry, you know, it breaks. You know, but even as that, we must, of course, you know, make ourselves malleable enough and ready to learn, you know, but we must also start from our children. We must know what exactly do we want to teach. Loyalty, patriotism to the nation, this and that. There must be certain things that, you know, we want to teach our children. They're very, very vital, you know. And again, apart from that, of course, love. I don't think there's any religious belief out there that operates on hate. It has to be love. Love for one another, love for your, you know, people from other tribes, from other ethnicities and all that. You know, there must be, we must have our core values, you know, on love. What do we want? You know, you love your neighbor. It's as simple as ABC. Jesus used it, and I'm sure there's no one who believes in God who does not know that this is it. You know, I was saying in a video yesterday that, look, the problem we have in Nigeria is that, look, we have godliness on one hand and we have our lives in the other hand. There are people who go to their centers of worship and they are so sacrificial and they will give anything there. Then they come outside and they are looking for how to take everything, not how to give. You know, there's need to add that to, you know, what you do on a daily basis. There's need for your godly side to merge with your secular side, you know, and this is how, you know, going forward, this is how, you know, we're going to make Nigeria work. And so, as I said, we must decide what indoctrination we need. We must decide on what we do about love, how to have that love among ourselves. And again, we must decide on patriotism to our nation. We must define what patriotism is. We must sit down and have that, you know. And then, of course, generally, in this coming together, there are certain things that we can't, apart from these two, there's another one that we cannot but do, which is that we must identify our problems and be willing to deal with them. We must identify our problems and deal with them. For instance, I can break them into two. For instance, you know, there are more than that, but we can sweep them under, you know, these two. There's the aspect of corruption. Oh God, anyone who was born 40 years ago will probably not know a world without corruption. You know, in Nigeria, you probably don't even know a world without corruption. So we must identify the level of corruption we have. You see, you can't cut corruption again in Nigeria. You can't cut it away. You can only deal with it because it is now spread. It's like cancer inside everyone. So it needs to be removed, but we can only ease it out, you know. So what do we do about corruption at the different stages and, you know, in different aspects of our living? And then there's the issue of unemployment. Look, one is responsible for the other is responsible for one, you know. Corruption is responsible for a lot of, unemployment is responsible for a lot of the corruption we have. And of course, you know, vice versa. And so these are two major things, you know, that if you deal with, you know, this we'll be talking about dealing with in this when we come together. And then when you are looking at unemployment, I usually attach one phrase to it. I say, look, turning every problem to opportunity. Every problem. Is there a problem out there? Turn it to an opportunity. You know, for instance, I was saying to some when we sat together, I said, look, you say we have food shortage in the country. Then let's come together and decide how many metric tons of rice do we need in this country in a year? How many metric tons of maize do we need in a year? And then let's decide how many people. That is creating employment. How many people do we need to plant this? How many? And at the end of the day, you find out that the things that you call problems in this country, they are actually the opportunities that we have. So what's missing is that we need to come together and decide that this is what we want to do. And please, don't think it is about the president or the governor coming out to do this. It has to be people who agree, like they did in the Tower of Babel, that this is one thing they want to do and going out to do it. This is very, very important. So don't forget, is people connect, and this is just the beginning. Thank you.